Morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today, I want to talk about the United States as it is dying. And this little chat here, this little video, is based upon an article that I wrote earlier, in which case I compared the death of the United States to that of the film noir movie Sunset Boulevard. Sunset Boulevard is a classic movie. Every time I watch it, the more and more enraptured I am on the nuances that are presented. In this movie, it takes place in Hollywood, and there is an aging actress named Norma Desmond. In her day, she was the most popular actress. Everybody adored her. She was beautiful, talented, and married a slew of very rich and important people, and she herself was extraordinarily rich, not only from her movies, but also from her investments. But now you see, she's old. While people know her, she's not really desired.
You're Norma Desmond. Used to be in
as an
silent
actress
pictures, used to be
anymore,
big.
but rather as something newsworthy. The former actress does this, and the former actress does that. And this is a reality that she doesn't. And she loses her mind. For her, all the world's a stage. And she has become delusional. She can't tell the difference between reality and life. There are scenes in this movie with stunning parallels to what the United States is going through. And the purpose of this video is to go through various aspects of this movie.
Salome.
Let's talk a little bit
Only
about
asking. I didn't know you were planning a comeback.
I hate that word. It's
echo
return.
chambers.
A return to the millions of
It
people who've never
seems
forgiven me for deserting
that
me.
everybody in the United
Fair enough.
States, and in NATO for that matter, are in an echo
What a
chamber.
part.
They're
Princess in
believing
love with a holy man. She dances the dance
what
of the
they're
seven
reading,
veils. He rejects
and they're
her.
not
She lands his
getting
head on a golden
any
tray.
cross-pollination
He is cold, dead.
by any other media. All that
love it
they
from
read is what
They love it every
the
place.
United States
Read it.
government wants
Here's the
them
scene
to
just
read.
before she has him killed.
Oh,
Never
sure,
let
they
another
put
writer read your
CNN on
material.
top
He
of
may
it, they
steal.
put BBC
I'm not
on
afraid.
top
Read
of
it.
it, they
Mac,
put Fox
bring
News on
something to
top
drink.
of it. It's all what they
Sit down.
want you
Is
to
there enough
believe,
light?
and the
I've got
leadership
20/20
is
vision.
believing it. They're believing this non-stop flood of lies without anything new. I argue repeatedly in the website on Metallic Man that it's crucially important for you to get other points of view, but you have to understand to discern from what you read. A commenter commented last night about why I put these links there, because they're saying bad things about China, and I had to remind him. Max D was the commenter. I had to remind him that I don't agree with all these other articles. I put them there for a broader perspective, as is my want. And it's up to the reader to discern. If I just only put pro-China articles in the blog, in my writings, then it would just be another isolation bubble, another echo chamber. Because there's good and bad with everything. And you have to see people's view, even if they're morons. You have to see their point of view. In the movie, Norma Desmond repeatedly got bundles of letters from fans, even though she was old and past her prime. She read and reread these bundles of fan mail over and over and over, convinced that she has a viable and active fan base. Well, it turns out in the movie that her butler was writing these fan letters to her and recycling them as well, so that she's under the impression that she has an active fan base, when in reality she's been all but forgotten. Echo chambers are like that. You start believing the echo chambers and you start making decisions based upon them. Echo chambers are in everything. But what's intentionally disturbing is what the United States government has become. Leadership are no longer being advised by talented advisors, but rather by people within information bubbles. And this can be lethal to you and can be lethal to the country that you're supposed to be
like
leading.
A watch spring, her cigarette clamped in a curious holder. I could sense her eyes on me from behind those dark glasses.
This over-reliance or saturation of the information within an echo bubble is more than just dangerous. It's an indicator of a total collapse of a system. For histories, for all of history, empires and kings and rulers have relied on well-informed advisors to make decisions. And sure, there were very well-informed advisors and very poor-informed advisors, but they all would try to get a bigger, broad picture of the world around them. That ended. Now people get their news within a cloistered group of only what they want to hear, whatever narrative it is. I'm certain that those leaders in Sweden and Finland and Switzerland and France are all convinced that Russia is on the verge of collapse. 1/3 of its military is destroyed by America's military superiority, and it's only a matter of time before Ukraine will recover, and then the rest of the NATO can unify and invade Russia as punishment, because that's what they're thinking. They're not thinking at all about Ukraine collapsing and Russia being strong. They're thinking Russia is going to collapse any day now, or any week now, or any month now, and then NATO, being strong, will take it over. They're believing it. It's an echo chamber. You, in MM land, know different. You know that Russia is winning, and it's just propaganda that you're hearing. But they believe it, and that's why you're seeing this stuff going on. Being in an echo chamber will cause you to make very stupid decisions, such as, well, if in the case of Finland, tearing up a neutrality agreement that they had signed with Russia. That's a very bad move. Of course, Russia destroying Finland has very bad optics, but c'est la vie, très le monde. Après la guerre. For you French speakers out there. And yeah, I studied French for 3 years. It was an attempt that as you well know, if you know my story, I went to school to become an astronaut. That's why I studied aerospace engineering, astrophysics, and why I entered the Navy as a naval aviator. In order to get into the academy, you had to be able to speak a language, so I studied French. It was the only one available. I didn't make it into the Air Force Academy, as you all well know. It was a flip of a coin. I went all the way up. I went through, I don't know, 500 candidates, and it got down to me and another guy by the name of Brian Bly. And sure as shit, we had both scored. As the test score rooms got smaller and smaller and smaller, because we took a battery of tests over a period of a year. As the classroom of tests got smaller and smaller, and less people were taking the tests, Brian and Bly were only the last two. And curiously enough, we lived relatively close together. We weren't in the same school, but we were in nearby schools. He went to Carn City, and I went to East Brady. Small world. Okay, anyways, the bottom line was, sorry about that little digression there. But, so Norma Desmond, of course, surrounded by all this fake fan mail, is under the impression that she is still relevant, adored even, with people clamoring for her to take action. And that's exactly what we're witnessing right now. Non-thinking nations, United States, NATO, Australia, enwrapped in some kind of fantasy world, a complete fantasy world that doesn't really exist. A picture of some illusion that they're believing. And believing they're more relevant than they actually are. They're more important than they actually are. Is going to cause them to they look really bad to those that are aware, and cause them to make faulty decisions. In the movie, Norma Desmond does some very silly things. At the end of the movie, she actually kills this guy and is arrested. It's a stunning scene. The whole movie is visually stunning. Film noir is always a treat for me. There are scenes of romance, scenes of pathos, scenes of anguish and the human experience. Whether it's gumshoe detectives, sultry blondes, jazz musicians late at night, horrible, mean gangsters, or cops on the beat, you can be guaranteed that film noir is one of great exception and wonderful storytelling. And in this case, Sunset Boulevard is more than just a movie. It's an allegory. And I say it was before its time because it's an allegory about the wanton destruction and the decay of someone or something that was once great. Things In the movie, this man was hired to write a new screenplay by her. And she, in her confused mind, thought that she could turn him into a gigolo, buy him gifts, keep him there, and that he, enraptured by her fame and previous beauty, would want to stay. Isn't that the same thing with the United States today? Everybody is crossing the southern borders, clamoring to get into America. Everybody wants to leave China, that horrible cesspool, and join America. I just read an article where I just saw a video on Fox News where the woman, she's from China, left China 3 decades ago, 30 years ago, and says, America's resembling China. I was like, in your dreams? In your dreams? China 30 years ago was a shithole. I don't know if she's ever been back to China, but if she ever did, goes back to China, she would say, holy shit, I'm not leaving it. Well, it's pretty interesting. But yeah, so she has this belief in the movie, Norma Desmond, she has this belief that people will come and want to be around her. That she could just throw gifts and throw money. I've got millions, I've got tons of money, I own this, I own that. As if that would be impressive to them.
Cut away from me.
Honestly, it's a little too much of you. They don't want you in everything.
She's living
They
on
don't. Then why are they still
the
writing
net
candidates
worth
every
of
day?
past
Why do they beg you for my
accomplishments,
photograph? Why? Because they
which is
want
something
to see
America
me,
does
Norma
all the
Desmond.
time.
Put it back.
Something that Europe does, and Europe is doing. China and Russia have engineered a controlled demolition of the West out of necessity. They're not biting at a war or a war or a war or war. They don't. That's not a smart way. They're defanging the systems that the West uses, making them irrelevant. Stocks, bonds, treasury bills, the power of the United States dollar, the banking cartel, the requirement and use of certain types of oils. They are defanging it one by one by one by one. So that's what's going on. Each time they defang an aspect of it, this puffed up, fierce, barking dog gets weaker and smaller and more shriveled up. At some point in time, near all these great and grandiose plans for global bases, bioweapons, 8 more aircraft carriers, more expensive fighter jets, and all this is going to become unobtainable, impossible to manage, and a maintenance nightmare. They're going to have to scale back. Currently, there is zero evidence that this is something that they want to do, but they're going to have to do it. These are things that's going to have to occur.
I guess I don't have to go through the start. They were always her pictures. That's all she wanted to see.
One double. those images.
You see, people.
Have they forgotten what a star looks like? I'll show
And
them.
you know
I'll be
it's
up there
true.
again, so help me.
Don't you? If you remove Russia and China and India and Iraq, or not Iraq, Iran and Saudi Arabia and Brazil from the trade with the West, what are they going to trade with? They're going to trade to Zimbabwe? Where are you going to get your products? Mexico? Mexico makes a lot of American products. It's true. It really does. Make some cars, do some electronic fabrication. It's true. You can have them make it, provided they get the materials. The materials. The materials. The materials come from the stands, Kazakhstan, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Come from the stands.
Shut up. I'm rich.
Russia,
I'm richer than all this new
China,
trash. I've got $1
and
million.
a very, very, very China-friendly Africa.
Oil and Bakersfield. Pumping, pumping, pumping. What's it for but to buy us anything we want?
Cut out that us business.
In the movie,
What's the matter with you?
What right do you have
this
to take me for
man who has been employed by Norma Desmond, he has another life, and he yearns
There may be some
for
girl that I'm
life
crazy
and the
about.
color outside of this closed, gloomy mansion.
All wrong for.
He longs for the parties, New Year's Eve, female companionship where they have a relationship, they can talk, and there's a feeling of love and affection for each other. He yearns for that. And in a like way, I think the nations of Africa yearn to be respected, not plundered and their oligarchs given money, which is the American way. You do this or we will destroy you. Meanwhile, they give lots of money to the oligarchs, and the oligarchs fashion their nation to however it's most convenient for them for profit, as opposed to the Chinese way, which is like, we respect you. We are not going to fuck with your internal issues. We want to do business with you. If you don't want to do it this way, no problem. How about this way? No problem. How about this way? Don't like it? How about this way? Respecting the wishes of the country. Africa, South America, it's unheard of. And they like that. They like to be treated with respect. Just like everybody likes to be treated with respect. Just like the movie Sunset Boulevard, where the guy wanted to be treated with respect. Not because he's there for some money, because she has lots of money. But like him for who he is. I like to believe that this is a truism, whether it's a nation or a country, really. Don't you like to be respected? Don't you like to be treated well? Don't you like to be appreciated for your culture, your uniqueness? I like to think that long-term Metallic Man followers to my writings and everything appreciate me for my uniqueness instead of me being like other people. That's what I like to think. I don't know if it's true, but it's what I like to think. Seriously, If you guys were here, I would buy you a meal. We'd go out, we'd drink some wine, give you some good food. Whatever you want, you just pick. You can go in a restaurant, say, pick what you want. We would have a good meal. We'd get one of the back rooms. We'd have a good meal, have a good fill, and then we'd go on out. Maybe to a park chat, maybe play some pool, try some pool, maybe go to KTV, see how good you are singing. If you're American, we'd cranking up some country and western. I tell you what, maybe if you're a Brit, we'd try some 1990s rock, maybe some Oasis. But, you know, we'd be having a good time one way or the other.
More like freshly laundered linen.
But you're not. And this is my way of reaching out to you guys.
How old are you?
I like to think that this is my way of communicating with a bunch of friends that I've picked up all over the world.
May I suggest that whenever to finish this story, you stay at least 2
That's how I
feet
feel
away.
anyways.
First time you see me coming any closer,
And,
clunk me on my head with it.
you know, with friends, you can tell a friend to fuck off.
Way of
You
worshiping
know,
this way.
you can be nice about your criticism, but, you know, it's got to be placed. And of course, if I'm criticizing you, you have a right to snap back at me and say, what the fuck? Why are you saying that to me? You know, I'm only shimma, 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 shimma. No, it's okay. That's how friends talk.
What happened?
A real friend doesn't knock, can I come in the house? A real friend says, hi, and they come on in the house and open the refrigerator and say, you don't have any more beer. That's what a real friend does. In the movie, I'm sorry, I get so carried away. In the movie, Norma Desmond has been living in this isolation bubble for so long, constantly reinforced of her greatness by her butler, who is actually a former husband who was actually one of her directors. That's Hollywood for you. So he's constantly reinforcing her madness, enabling it. He would remove the doorknob. He removed the doorknobs on the doors so she couldn't lock herself in her many episodes of trying to kill herself. He, the butler, is an enabler. And he has enabled this monster to fester and develop. Who are the enablers right now? In the United States, who are the enablers that are allowing the United States to fester? It's the people. Real people would have overthrown the government centuries ago. Said this system does not work. It is broken. I don't know what you're doing, but you guys are not doing things. When you have a government solely preoccupied $50 billion to go to the Ukraine and nobody can get baby food in the United States, I mean, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? And so, just like the movie, Americans and Europeans and Australians are permitting the systems to run on autopilot without real civic participation. There is no serious civic participation. In fact, in America, they stopped teaching civics back in the 1970s. Nobody understands, nobody appreciates, nobody realizes how important it is to understand how to change and control the government to do its bidding. Instead, the government, the American democracy, is one that works for the highest bidder. And you people, the electorate, are minuscule. And like in the movie, that's what happened. These enables the madness to a point where Norma Desmond is dangerous to herself. But of course, they knew she was dangerous to herself for decades. He knew that she was dangerous to herself. For decades, we've known the American government's been dangerous to its people. But now, it isn't until Norma Desmond kills somebody else that we realize, the rest of the world realizes that it has reached a point of no return. But I have to argue, the point of no return occurred many, many years before Norma Desmond shot and killed somebody.
What a wonderful next year it's going to be. What fun we'll have. I'll fill the pool for you. Or I'll open my house in Malibu and you can have the whole ocean. And when our picture's
And that's the
finished,
truth with the United
I'll buy you
States.
a
It
boat.
happened many,
We'll
many,
sail to
many years
Hawaii and
Stop it,
before
you're not going to buy me anything more.
Don't be silly.
where we're at right now.
Here. I was going to give it to you at midnight.
Norma, I can't take it. You bought me enough.
Shut up. I'm rich. I'm richer than all this new Hollywood trash.
You have to understand
I've got $1 million.
Keep it.
that while I'm speaking about the United States, I'm also talking about its proxy nations.
Pumping.
Germany is a proxy of the
What's it
United
for,
States.
Tobias? Anything we
Japan is a
want.
proxy of the United States. Poland is a
What's the matter
proxy
with
of the
you?
United
What
States.
right do you have to take me for granted?
Turkey, not so much. It's a NATO member, but not a proxy. Serbia, absolutely not
Has
a
it ever
proxy.
occurred to you that I may have a life of my own?
Switzerland surprised me.
There may be some girl that I'm crazy
I would
about.
argue that Britain, the UK, is actually running the United States in certain areas,
I'm trying to say
as
is
well
that I'm
as
all wrong
Israel.
for you.
They're not
You want a
proxies.
Valentino,
They're actually
somebody with
owners.
polo ponies, a big shot.
What you're
But-
trying to say is you don't want me to love you.
Does it really matter the interrelationships of the family members in a dysfunctional family? If you have a dysfunctional family living down the street, does it really matter if this sister is sleeping with her dad, or if this incestuous relationship that's going on in the house? Does it really matter to you? What's behind those closed doors, does it really matter to you? Just to know that there are a dysfunctional family is just about all you need to know. You just kind of stay away from them. Stay away from the bad stuff. And we know right now, it should be crystal clear to everybody that the United States unipolar ideal is just completely fracturing and collapsing. And the polarization is occurring with the polarity of Europe and certain Pacific nations, notably Australia and Japan, aligning with it. The rest of the world says, fuck this, and they're aligning with the East. And that should be obvious to all. If you're not paying attention, then maybe you're in an echo chamber.
I had to hear somebody laugh.
Because the echo chamber is one of
There was bound to be a New Year's shindig going on in his apartment.
a reinforcement of narrative.
Writers without a job, composers without a publisher.
If you look
Actresses so young they
on the
still believe
Western
guys in the cat.
news, you'll notice that they're not any of them are reporting the high-ranking generals that are captured by Russia. None of them are reporting on the bioweapon aspect of the discoveries. Not a single one is reporting on the events as they actually transpire. Instead, it's Ukraine is winning, America's got everything under control, America is fully strong, and it's the same old, everything's wonderful and dandy, and China bad, Russia bad, Russia bad. In fact, the other day, and I wrote about this. In one day, you have people saying that Xi Jinping has a brain aneurysm, and he's on his way out, and Putin has blood cancer, and he's on his way out. You're, these people in these echo chambers are believing this nonsense. It's not true. It's not true at all. I'm telling you, it's not true at all. But they're believing it. How are they supposed to know? Tell me, how are they supposed to know any of this? An unnamed source from the United States government who is well placed and is in the know? Really? Really? Yeah, I got a bridge to sell you guys. Good deal too. Crazy ass stuff. Crazy ass shit's what's going on. All right, crazy ass shit, I tell you what. But let's go back to the movie, okay, shall we? Because I'm spending way too much time getting caught up in this other shit. At the end of the movie, we see that Norma Desmond has done a heinous act. She has killed another person. And the rest of the community, the police, the news media has gathered at her house. And she is unaware that she did anything bad. Instead, she's living in her delusions that what she did was something trivial. And the rest of the community hauls her away as a sick, crazy, dangerous person. That's what we're witnessing right now. Right now, that's what we're witnessing. Hopefully, the crazy America Norman Desmond isn't going to go shoot somebody or launch some nuclear weapons any more than the biological weapons they've already launched. But it's reached a point where people are coming over to take her away to the paddy wagon, to put her in a straitjacket, while the United States babbles incoherently like Max Headroom, carting her away. It's a tight time because the systems haven't collapsed to the point where we're able to disentangle the United States from the world. It hasn't reached a point where those trapped in that mansion are able to break out yet, but it's getting close. And
So they were turning after all.
it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Life, which can be strangely merciful.
And while they come up to get Norman Desmond, and she thinks that it's just another day, and she is so happy because the America has achieved its greatness in the world again, and it's the shining hill, the shining building on the hill yet again. Norma Desmond is carted off to the funny farm, where she will be put in a padded cell and locked up and never allowed ever again to hurt anybody else. It's a juxtaposition of situational events that are so similar, that seem to be happening simultaneously. The collapse of the United States government and the black hole that it has created,
And I promise you I'll never desert you again.
and the follow-through of all its proxy nations as it follows down this hole,
This is my life. It
and
always
the
will.
decline of Norma Desmond as she goes down the stairs, step by step by step by step, and the world watches on. We're approaching the point where it's good night, America. A rebirth shall occur. The climax of the film has not yet occurred. It'll happen in the next 2 years. And people will be pushing off the dust and debris by 2025. Be part of a community, do your best. And at that, guys, I want to end up with my basic words of advice. Be good. Smile. Make a difference in the world that you live in. Be good to dogs, cats. Be helpful. Be the Rufus. Participate. Don't be a spectator. And when the situation calls, take action. And at that, guys, remember, I believe